direct us through it.
Hi everybody. So yep, this is what arrived, and we're gonna just start opening them up and setting them up.
Want this one? This is pretty easy.
Good, no, go for it. It's like Christmas.
Yeah. So this is all Dottke stuff? This is one hive?
This is one hive, but it has
several parts with the super and
some parts we won't need until we actually have a lot more bees that come together.
Looks like a super, right, with all the frames?
That's one of the honey supers, so we won't need that one right away. And this is this is another honey super. Or no, this is a full super. So in order for me to get this out, I'm gonna need to take some of these out.
Do we need this one? Not yet.
Is that a honey super? No, that's a full hive body. So here's what I did, just so I can reach in there, is take a couple frames out. They're in there pretty good. Oh, this is a nice hive body. Just short of cutting open the box. It shouldn't be this tight. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just set it here for now. It goes back in.
We want this one too, or no?
Yep. We'll get it set up, but then when the bees arrive, we won't.
I think if you just grab the
I think I dropped my razor.
cardboard.
It was in the box.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, there it is. Hold on a second. Let me grab the bottom. Yay!
Way to get in it. And just put it next to it.
Sure. This is where we can fast forward or edit, probably.
Look at that box. This is something you think you get on film
You
later?
can take it out later.
I mean, these are just the pieces, so. That's a honey super, so that can wait, but we can show what they look like too. This is an outer cover.
Show the outer cover on it.
It's the top. What we need is a bottom
on the
board
top.
and an inner cover. And that's what this is.
This is something that doesn't weigh hardly anything. Oh, here's the
Receipt. Okay.
the delivery.
Here's the queen excluder, and we'll use that after we get started a little bit.
Entrance excluder.
We have an entrance reducer here. Yep. And then
Frame Hive dome. That was that, right?
keep losing my razor blade. You got one on you? Got a what? What did it say?
Yeah, be more careful. Thank you.
I
Oh,
don't know.
this was the dome.
Oh, there's my razor blade.
This one's the dome. So you can see inside the top.
Okay.
See this?
Oh, that's interesting. I've never used one of those. Here's
I
a-
just thought it'd be helpful at school so people could
Sure.
look inside of it.
Good idea.
It wasn't that much. I think it was like $15 or something.
And then in here we have another, this is like a mouse guard. So over winter we would put this at the entrance to keep mice out.
So that's the entrance excluder, maybe?
Sure.
Oh, that's cool. That's
This
for
is-
feeding,
This
right?
is for feeding, so we probably won't need that right away. With a nuke, it comes with frames that have food in them already.
Okay.
So, both knives are here if we need them. Alright, so what we need to do is set up the bottom board.
We can set the dome aside for later. When we're at
Sure. So this is the bottom board, and it's what the whole hive will sit on. And here's the back, and the front doesn't have a board here because our entrance reducer, which is this, will go on here, and you can make it large, like that. Michelle, move over just a little, there you go. Or small, like that. So, I'll let you hold this,
Okay.
and then we're gonna,
You want me to pick this
just
up?
this one, yeah. We're gonna set it right here. Okay, go ahead and set that on top. Okay, we're gonna push it all the way back,
Put it back corner.
and then square it up. That's good. Yep. And just so, a little bit, so the
I don't
camera
want to
can.
be camera.
Well, it's on your butt right now.
Yes, it definitely is on your butt.
So what she just put up here is the bottom super or brood chamber, and inside of it are these frames. These are full frames, and there are 10 of them. And it looks like this. So when we get the nuke, which is 5 frames already filled, we will pull 5 of these out, and it'll be this bottom one. We won't need this top one for a while, but we're gonna put it together just to show you what it looks like when it's all complete. So when the nuke comes, we're gonna put the nuke bees in here, and then we're gonna put the inner cover, and here it is, and the outer cover right over that for when the bees are here. But once the bees establish a pretty good sized colony, we will add another super so they can the queen can lay more eggs, and they can put more food stores in there. And then we close it up with an inner cover and an outer cover. And as they continue to grow, what we will do is exclude the queen from moving any further up the hive. And we will put this queen excluder where she cannot fit through these holes, but all of the worker bees can. And it'll go over the top like that. So the bees will come up through there, and the worker bees will come through and put honey above, but the queen will not. And the reason we don't want her to go up into the honey supers is because she will lay eggs and contaminate all of that. So later on, this is what we will use to keep her out of the honey. Do you have any questions about what we're doing so far? Anybody?
Yeah, you guys make sure to send us questions on the Google Classroom
Yeah.
and ask us specifics about what you saw. I put that out there last week after Lisa did her first video with her bees, and we're going to check on those after we get this
So Michelle,
together.
thank you. So Michelle has the entrance reducer, and she's going to place that at the base of
This
the
way,
hive.
the little way, or the
We're
large?
going to use the large.
Large. Like it goes under, right?
Yep. Okay, and
Should I square it up?
this is a really well-made hive kit too. I like it.
Good.
So for now,
So thank you, Shark Tank. Good job in giving us the funding.
absolutely.
Shout out.
So for now, what it will look like is we're going to put this entrance, inner cover on, and the outer cover will go on. And after the bees are in here, this is what it will look like for a while. But we can show you what it will look like when it's fully mature. So let's put together all of it. There's second brood chamber. Go ahead and put it out. Yep. Good. And then this is a honey super, and the honey super is not quite as tall. So remember, we're going to keep the queen out of the honey, so we'll put that queen excluder up there, and then the honey super and the second honey super. And these frames are a little bit smaller, but these will be filled with capped honey, and no brood will be in there. There you go. Awesome. And if you notice, the bottom looks a lot like the top because the bees come up through the bottom. And that will go up here. So when it's time to harvest honey, we will be able to harvest from these boxes, but we will not harvest from these boxes because this is where all the food, the queen and the colony will live over winter, right here. But these two will come off.
One of the things you talked about, Lisa, in class was that they're not all going to make it over winter. So can you explain the importance of those bottom two sections?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in order for the bees to overwinter, they need at least 70 pounds of honey and pollen in their colony, and typically 2 full brood chambers will give them that amount of food that's necessary. So these will stay over winter with the lid on and everything, and we'll probably put a cozy, the bee cozy over it so that it protects it from wind, which changes the temperature and can kill the bees because they can't always move through the hive when it's super cold. They move in a big ball with the queen in the center. So when it's super cold, they have to kind of stay in one spot, and so the bee cozy will keep that hive from changing temperature too quickly so they can move about and find their food. So yeah.
Another question.
Sure.
You mentioned this to the 3rd hour biology class a long time ago, but can you explain why we have it on this bench and up off the ground, and why you have it on cinder blocks for your four hives in the background?
Good question. So the question is, why is it on this bench, and why do I have other hives on foundations such as cinder blocks? And that's because bees build their comb based off of gravity, and you want them to build nice straight combs so that it's easy to work with pulling the frames in and out. So I have a little level, and after I set up a hive, I will always check just to make sure that it's level. Sometimes we have to shim the bottom and make it work, but it's not as important when you have frames like we have with the foundation already set, because it's already on a plane and they'll follow that plane downward. But when you use frames that do not have foundation, the bees are going to build their wax comb, honeycomb, on their own. And that's when gravity really comes into play, because you want them to be straight or they cross comb and it makes a big mess. So let's check for level. What do you know?
Nice.
Okay, let's check this way.
As if you planned it.
It's not bad, but we leveled the bench before we put the hive on.
Nice.
So that's it for the setup. I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe we'll get some questions
Yeah.
on, what is it, Google Classroom?
Google Classroom or the Dottke Playground, because I'll post this on both.
Unless you
And-
have other questions.
No, I think that's great. And then in about a week, we'll get our bees, but we're gonna make a separate video and check on Lisa's bees from
Yep.
a week ago.
Here we go.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Get it on pause.